Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. I welcome all of you to day three of our 1 week long online faculty development program on ChatGPT 5.0. Welcome back, everyone. Yesterday, we have started the discussion on our hands on demo of some of the fundamental features of ChatGPT. We're going to continue that discussion forward today with various different aspects and categories in the teaching learning process for various different subject areas and disciplines. And we're going to see what kind of output ChatGPT generates with various permutations and combinations when we try to input these prompts as they are and versus when we modify them for our specific purposes or use cases. So let me share my screen and we will get started with the discussion for today. Just give me a second. All right. So I hope my screen is also visible and we are on the screen for ChatGPT. We're going to be using this file for our reference. So let me just come to the top of this file and show what it has. This is a Word file. And here, what we have is basically four major columns and categories. Starting from the left, we have the prompt for ChatGPT input, the use case that the prompt is supposed to have, the skill or the outcome that the prompt is designed to approach, the final status or the output status that the sample prompt generates. And for most of them, the Bloom's taxonomy level is at the upper end of the spectrum, which is application and creating, I think, for almost all of them. And these prompts are divided into following categories. There are about 10 examples of each. We'll try to do as many as possible today. Rest we will do tomorrow and then continue from there. So first we have lesson planning and curriculum design. Some of these prompts were created originally. I'm going to modify them. Then our second category is on assessment and feedback. The third category is content creation and simplification of the content. And the fourth one is on communication, documentation, and administrative purposes, because that's what one of the topics today is. And lastly, we have creative and critical thinking, and ending the discussion with technology and AI integration and student well-being and reflection. So there are about 10 sample prompts for each. There are 70 prompts in total, which are available here for our reference. I'm going to modify the prompts as we go because some of them were originally created for a different purpose, and we're going to tweak them depending. For example, coming to the second one, this is for grading. We're going to modify that as we go, right? So let's get started. We're going to tweak the model a little bit first. Let's do that. We're going to switch over to the thinking mini version, and we're going to enable a few options from here. So for the first few prompts, let's turn on the web search option, and we will customize the prompt from here as we go ahead. So let's start with the first category. So yesterday we stopped our discussion on course designing and course curriculum designing. We'll continue from there. The next logical step in that is, of course, to create a detailed lesson plan or a weekly plan of teaching, depending on the various topics or criteria. In this example, what we're going to be looking at is a detailed plan for teaching the theme of empathy using short stories. So let's copy paste this prompt in the input window. But this is our sample base prompt, right? This is what we are using as a starting point. Now let's modify this a little bit in the context of Indian knowledge systems with a specific focus on Indian literature. So like this, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of more fun detailed to the prompt itself. Our custom instructions from yesterday are as it is. They have not been changed, so they will remain in place. And we go ahead with the first prompt. Today, we will spend some time looking at the output quality also for each of these versions. So as we go ahead and we turn on the thinking mini option, uh, my screen is visible, I hope. I can see a message in the chat box.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir.
visible.
Visible and audible clearly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So this is our output. Uh, it says here is a weekly teaching plan of 5 sessions for higher education English literature and language class. Since I have not specified the target audience here, it is going back to those instructions that I gave, and it is relying on that. Focusing on the theme of empathy with a specific focus on the 2 areas that I've outlined. And it continues with the same discussion like yesterday, saying that at each major step, I'll ask for your input on choices of stories, class level, etc. And this is where it asks me a few questions. I'm not going to answer them, and because we directly want to move to one prompt from the other. But provided we give this information also, where, for example, it talks about the level of students in the class size, the pool of short stories you are willing to or have access to, time duration, etc., and very specific particular system of knowledge that we would like to focus on, it is going to give us an output. And here is a provisional plan, however, assuming that we don't give any input. In fact, let's go ahead and do that first. And then gives a bit more of information also with regards to additional resources and materials and consideration and adaptation. Let's see for a minute what kind of quality it is giving. So the day one, for example, begins with a discussion on introduction to empathy and through the notion of IKS lens. There are some few details about what the lecture would consist of and what are the areas of the topics to be covered. For example, introduction to IKS in a nutshell through the lenses of relational knowledge and value-based rootedness. And I think it is pulling this information from this particular link called as Why IKS for Young Learners, which if I click on, it should directly automatically take me to this article or blog where it is pulling the information from. And on that, we also have this part right here where it is showing me 2 further additional elements, which is use IKS emphasis, which is the IKS connection to the specific session which we're going to be looking at, and its impact on interconnectedness, empathy, and relational knowledge, and what would be the final student outcome of each of these sessions. So likewise, we have specific things which are given here as to what is to be done for each of the day's activity, what activity has to be done, and how it is supposed to be taken forward. And day 5 finally ends with presentation, reflection, and assessment. So it is giving, now these notes are meant for the facilitator of the session or the lecture, saying that provide the additional reading material, create IKS brief background in terms of one additional page handout, empathy reflection worksheets, etc. Use group tools like storyboard templates. Now the question is twofold here. The first question is whether when I answer these questions, will the output which is coming here improve or not, first of all. Secondly, the things which it is asking us as facilitators to do for this course, whether it can do that for us or not. So let's try both of them in the same chat instance itself. If you saw carefully, what I did was, even though I have turned on the thinking mini option, I skipped the thinking phase. Let's see what happens when we keep that phase on. So let's go ahead and answer these 4 questions. The first one is level of students, undergraduate students of liberal arts.
So I mean, like, ask one question here?
Yeah, sure. Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I joined today only, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I came to know today only. I got myself registered and this thing.
All right.
I
Okay.
wanted to ask you when this is preparing the lesson plan for us. So when we are planning the lesson, so we nowadays with the coming of NEP, we have to map the course outcomes and like course objectives and code mapping has to be done.
Yeah.
So will how will this chat GPT this is because when we have written first course designing course objectives and those and course outcome, so program outcome and course outcome, how are we going to map? Because when we plan the lesson, I tell my
Yeah,
teachers where is the
yeah,
outcome, you have to map it. So
correct.
so that is what I'm saying, that lesson plan is absolutely all right, listen, but how are we going to show the outcome? Will that also chat gpt will help us in that?
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, as you mentioned that you've joined today only. Yesterday we have done
Oh,
that. This and in
okay.
the upcoming days, this video will be put on the all the days videos will be put on the YouTube channel of Nucleus of Learning and Development. You can
Okay,
see
I'm
the
so
output
sorry.
here. I can
Huh.
show you the output right now. This is the output. We can see it has
Okay.
already backed the COs and POs on a 3.0.
PO1. Okay,
Right?
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
So it
okay,
can do
okay.
that. We just have to design the prompt accordingly. The
All
process of
right.
designing the prompt I have covered yesterday, so you can go through that
Oh,
particular.
I'm so sorry for what
No, it's completely fine, ma'am. So we are
um,
actually moving one step ahead from there. So yesterday, just to put into some context, what we have done is we have covered course designing and mapping of the course and
oh,
getting an entire template of the course curriculum itself, right from course objectives. If I come to the top here, to the
mm,
title, description, COs,
mm.
POs, and then the mapping and the rest of it, assessment, suggestive assessments,
How can
etc.
I have the access to it? Only on YouTube
Yes, yes, it will be uploaded on YouTube. Yeah.
after 15 days or what? How many days?
Maybe in a week or so, I think,
All
once
right.
the session is on. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pathak.
Thank you so much. All right. So let's go ahead. The first one was, as we were looking at, which is the target level of audience, which is the undergraduate students of liberal arts, let's say, with a class size of maybe 35 students. Let's make it bigger, 50 students. Second question was, if I remember correctly, about the pool of short stories that I have access to. Let's say short stories from Jataka Tales. Third, how many minutes or hours each session will be? Let's go with 90 minutes. And four, any particular Indian knowledge system or tradition you would like emphasized? No. Focus on, I guess, in general. Now, after these questions have been answered, will this time we won't skip the thinking process. Instead, we'll see what it is doing. So we can see that the thinking process has begun. We are going with the thinking mini version of ChatGPT 5 right now. It will outline actually for us what it is supposed to do. This will take a few more seconds as compared to the normal output. So it is establishing the context which we have talked about yesterday, right? So in the first step, for instance, it is saying that I need to create a detailed weekly plan for teaching the theme of empathy through short stories, particularly focusing on the primary text from Jataka Tales. It is going through the answers that I have given in terms of under the class strength, duration of the session. The user initially requested IKS, and it but now says to avoid focusing on specific IKS traditions, but and to focus on it as a whole. So it has recognized that change. In the next step, what it is doing now is it is running a web search for us, for me, and it is going through these few, I think there are about 16 websites that it has gone through. And this is the list of those websites right here. We can, I'll have to scroll up and down a bit because the results are being generated, so it will scroll automatically. And we can see that this list is available here. After that, it has moved towards the creation of the weekly plan. It says I have got enough sources now, and then it goes ahead with the crafting of the plan, and the entire process takes about 1 minute and 5 seconds according to its timeline. And this is our final version of the plan, as you can see. So it has taken all of that into account. Primary learning outcomes for the entire week have been designed. Not only that, it has also given me some context, assuming that I'm doing this for the first time for this particular topic. It has given me some context of what Jataka tales are, and it has probably pulled this information from this particular domain. Let's see what it is. Probably it's a research paper or it's an article. We'll come back to it. It's opening, and these are the. It has also given us a list of indicative stories which you can select from the collection, and it is then asking me whether I would like to replace any of these with a particular region or language story. Detailed session plans with a minute by minute breakdown, as we can see, something which was not there earlier, because now I've specified the timeline or the time limit, which is 90 minutes. and it is giving me a detailed breakdown as to what I'm supposed to do through each of those minutes, and from a warm up and an activity following that. For example, here there is a think, pair, share activity with a prompt for the teacher saying that recall a small moment when someone acted for you good and unexpectedly, followed by a mini lecture. Let's come. Okay, so this is the text that it has referred to, I think, to pull this information. And then there is a mini lecture as we are looking at it. What is empathy? Some discussion on that, the context of the stories, a close reading which would be guided by the facilitator, another group activity, and an exit ticket or an exit prompt. Let's say, for example, asking you to do some sticky notes, post on some LMS platform, with the same instructor prompt being available here also, saying that one moment in the story which the students would read in this particular session that made you feel for the character and why. In this manner, we have a day-wise plan for each of the days. The format is the same. There are assessment rubrics for a 3-point scale again, and practical classroom logistics and scaffolding activities have also been mentioned. So we can see that there's a significant difference between when we instantly generate an output versus when we allow it to think for some time, and plus we give appropriate answers to the questions that it is asking. Quick classroom prompts and sample guided questions are there if you want to take that discussion further. Some evidences and pedagogical notes, that is basically links from it has gotten this information. And then it is asking the step which I wanted to come to, which is in the last part, I talked about whether it is able to actually generate those resources for me or not. So let's go ahead and try that this time. The first one it says which it can generate is a printed Word or PDF handout, 1 page each for the 5 Jataka stories. So the text itself plus 6 guided questions. Then a 6-point PowerPoint, 6-slide PowerPoint template for group workshop presentations, a detailed 3-point rubric table for the instructor with grading descriptors, the 800-word reflective essay prompt. Somewhere in the lesson plan, there must be a reflective essay which the students are supposed to write, and then convert the whole weekly plan into a single printable 2-page instructor guide. Tell me which items you want, pick the number. So I just have to type the numbers in that, whether you want Indian English phrasing, and then it is asking me which language output do I want. So let's try that. I'll just simply give the numbers. Let's try all of them, in fact. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's put a full stop here. As far as the phrasing is concerned, keep the Indian English phrasing. After each numbered output, tell me when it is done, and let me download the same. So let's see what happens now. Again, it is supposed to think through, and again, I'm going to keep thinking as open so that we get a more detailed output versus where if I would normally skip this. So it will take a few seconds definitely, and it will now try to go through the list of those indicative stories that it has given to me. The titles were somewhere right here on the top. Yeah, these are the ones, and it will give me a short 1-page handout, probably summarizing the story itself, followed by uh, whatever information is available in the public domain. It is also telling me from where it is pulling this information, public domain Powell version, guided question, and a glossary for each of these stories also. So it is working on the first document, which is creating the handout, finalizing the Jataka story documents. So this is a very good way to actually see and follow the pathway that the flow that the model is taking, right? And at any point of time, if you feel that it is not going correctly, I can simply stop it here by using this button, and I can re-give the prompt, asking it to stop at that point of time, and then regenerate any specific documents or elements that I want to. So as we can see, it is generating all of this as we had asked for. and we should be seeing all the links right away after it finishes writing the code for the same. So let's just see what it comes out with. We'll also try to see the quality of the output, because that's the most important part. So the code will take some more time because there are multiple output the formats that it has to give: Word, PowerPoint, presentation, etc. So let's see what it gives to us. And in the meantime, let me see if it is showing the, yeah. So this is the list of 16 websites again which it has gone through. We can see some popular names: Rare Book Society of India, archive.org. Then there must be some other there are some blogs here, probably some book entries from books.google.com, which it has gone through. Kindly just we'll just wait for a few seconds. We'll let it finish generating the output. So while it is generating this, just to put this into perspective, on day one we talked about the token limit, right? So this is a very good instance of the increase in the number of tokens. So what would happen in the initial versions of ChatGPT is that if you would have asked for such a multi-leveled output in those versions, it would work up to a certain extent. It would stop generating after that. With version 5, and especially with these higher level thinking models, with thinking mini, it will give me much more room to generate these multi-level outputs, and it will become much more larger if we go to the thinking model. Of course, it will take more time according to that as well. It is already taking quite a bit of time, and the thinking part would take even more time. Also, another major differentiation, we'll see that with another prompt, is that the number of websites that it's visiting with thinking mini, it will automatically increase in the thinking model. That's why it takes more time to generate the output as well. So I think it is almost ready. Let's just wait for a second and see how it works. And another really great part about this entire code that it is writing is that if for those of us who have a working knowledge of this code, we can actually modify this code and edit it also right here itself and generate the output according to our specific requirement if we want to. So yeah, I think it should be ready to go. This is the final command, I think. Yeah, output files are being generated. Yeah, done. I created all 5 deliverables. I thought for a minute that it might not give completely, but it has given us all the 5 links. So first one is the handout, a workshop PPT template for that lesson plan, a 3-point rubric description document, a reflective essay prompt and the marking scheme for that, and the instructor guide page. Let's start from the fifth one first. So we'll open this link, and yeah, let's see what this one has given to us. So there we go. 1 week plan, empathy through Jataka stories. This is a instructor plan for, this is basically a short version of the detailed plan that we have. It said that it will condense it to 2 pages. It has done exactly that. It has given us the 2 pages for the same. Now, if I go to the next one, somewhere in the lesson plan, there must be a task of writing a reflective essay. So write a 800-word reflective essay on how have Jataka, this is the broader topic, how have Jataka tales that you have read this week changed or sharpened your understanding of empathy, which was our broader theme? In your essay, include the following elements. The marking scheme for the essay has also been given for the instructor and and for the reference of the students. And the marks distribution is also given right here. Then if we go to the next one, which is, this is a 3-point rubric descriptor for each aspect of the activities for workshop plan and presentations that are supposed to happen in this week's plan. This is a rubric for that. We can see how well neatly formatted it is. With the 3-point scale of assessment, we can make it just as easily a 5-point. All I need to do is re-upload this file in ChatGPT and ask it to make it a 5-point scale. It will give the description for that. Now let's come back to the one. I am particularly interested in the first two. This is a presentation format. One thing which is, I think, a major limitation with ChatGPT still is that it doesn't create formatted presentations. It creates presentations like this, which are slightly incomplete, and we have to refine it a little bit further. Of course, we have other tools for this, but it does attempt to create the correct version of the presentation. So we have a bare bones skeleton to work with, and then we can modify it as per our requirement. But the main document out of all five is this one, which is supposed to be a short handout on all the five stories. There we go. It has given us a crunched version, I think, of the stories itself, if I'm not mistaken. And then there are sort of guided questions that follow, and glossaries of important words coming inside the very, very short stories. Of course, we would have to definitely check the level of correctness and factuality of this output, and we would have to then go ahead and start utilizing it from there. So this is what the model can do with three things in when combined together. This is the first prompt that we have seen. We started out with the customization part. It is taking that into account, asking my input at every point of time. It is also further referring back to its ability to search through the web, and then combining with its ability to go through multiple resources at the same time. It is combining all of them together, and this is where we have this entire plan coming up for our reference right here. And this is what it has done with one single prompt, which has been modified right here and right now. If we have given it a much detailed prompt like we did yesterday, definitely we would have a much more detailed output as well. So this is the first example. Let's go to a new chat. We'll take up another example now, and we will try and change the model a little bit this time. And we will go with the next category, which says that there's supposed to be a design of an interdisciplinary unit combining two different topics. I'm going to modify this prompt a little bit. I'll change the topics and the grade level. We'll make it slightly more difficult in terms of the areas of the topics that we take and the target audience level also. So let's say, for example, we give topics like ethics and values and contemporary Indian novels for actually, let's slightly change this a little bit. Contemporary, let's expand the base a little bit. Contemporary novels, combining the topics of ethics, values, and justice. So I'm going to specify the exact stream and the target level of the learner. We're going to tweak this model a little bit more now. So what we are going to be doing is I'm going to turn the web search option this time. Also, we will switch the model over to thinking. It will think for a longer period of time plus. Let's do this. So this is something that we can simulate. I'm just going to use this as my example. Let's say I'll go to downloads only. We are going to do three things now. We are going to give it a little bit more framework to work with, a little bit more amount of information to go ahead with. Web search will be turned on. The thinking model will be slightly larger. Plus, we are going to attach some context here by attaching this particular file as a reference material. In this manner, we can also attach PDF documents, files, Word files, etc. So this now becomes the base by the means of which it automatically will go through this content and it will design it accordingly. So let me just add slightly bit more of a prompt. Here's the reference document as a base only for ethics and what was the title? Laws This needs to be specified because we are referencing back to a document. Tap into other resources for the contemporary novel part. Now, this will take quite I think 1 or 2 minutes. It is going to think through that first. Now it will be very fascinating to see the thinking process. First, it will read the document, then it will start processing the prompt. I can just as easily skip this and it will directly give me an output immediately, but it won't be as effective as what the thinking model will do. So it has understood the objective. I need to design an interdisciplinary unit combining the following areas for this particular target audience of learners. And it says, I will gather other resources for contemporary novels as I have asked it to. There is some confusion over the citation format, but it looks like only the website citation is needed. It is, I think, probably talking about the document format itself. I've gathered some contemporary novels related to ethics, justice, and values. The texts that it is going through are The Ministry of Utmost Happiness by Arundhati Roy, A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mistry, or The White Tiger by Arvind Adiga. I'll gather more sources that are needed to expand later on. It is collecting some additional texts. The names are right here. And with each step, you also get this list of websites it is referring to. But this is the point of differentiation, right? What happens with Thinking Mini is that it goes through the entire iteration of the tasks that we have outlined for it in one go. But with Thinking, which is slightly more advanced or slightly more broader, it will break down the tasks into further subtasks or subcategories, and it will try to give each of them separately. And according to that, then we get this output right here, where it will start from the title of the unit, duration, and this is very interesting since I think this is probably because I have turned on the thinking model. It is also giving me a rationale from the document that I've uploaded plus some other sources as to these are the sources which it has gone through, which we can see right here, as to why this unit comparison is required. Same process, learning outcomes. The core textbooks, the model says it will propose 3 to 4, and with one optional, we can choose according to our own requirement. This is the optional capstone text, which can be utilized. Weekly plan coming up again. Now, this is because the previous chat instance was about generating a lesson plan. So it is referring back to that memory also. So this is fantastic to see it actually at work here, where it is going through the multiple versions and multiple tasks together at the same time and trying to give us the complete entire overall plan that we want to create for having this entire draft ready for different various stages for our purpose or our requirement. And it will continue with that same output. The rest of it will exactly be the same. But what we can see is it has achieved the core objective. It has tried to achieve the core objective, whereby it is giving us those topics which are essentially trying to combine 2 units together, or the 2 topics are together within the same crossover unit, which is basically a discussion between the notions of ethics, values, and justice by looking at them through the lens of these texts. And then the rest of it remains the same. And it actually gives us models also, which it suggests. For example, it has given us this FIDAC model right here, which can be utilized for teaching of these topics. And there is a set of core ethics and laws anchor. This is what we can look at, what it has utilized in terms of trying to create this output. And it says we can utilize this common sheet for these values and go ahead from there. A reading pack should include these texts, and it says this is what you can do further. Pick any 4 texts or keep a comparative approach to that. Assessments are supposed to be given by us. So which assessments do I want to keep out of all that it has suggested? Plus, do I want a final exam component or not? And if I keep it comparative, what should the focus be on? And then finally, the sources. And this is the difference between the Thinking Mini and Thinking version. It gives me a list of all the sources. By this button, I can see the documents I've uploaded. And if I click here, it gives me a complete list of all the websites. It has browsed documents, websites, papers, articles, blogs, whatever it may be. And it gives me a complete list of all of these right here. Now, if I want to download this in a Word file, it's very simple. We know that all I need to do is click on share, and I can share it across multiple platforms from here. This is something I forgot to show yesterday. I can copy this link and it can be shared as a viewed document link also, where we can have different levels of permissions, right, from viewing to editing. Plus, we can copy paste it from here and download it manually. And these are some of the other elements that we can do. I can branch this into a new chat, or I can ask the model to read aloud the entire output for me if I want to listen to what it sounds like. Sharing from here will actually, I think, open the same thing if I am not mistaken. Yeah, there we go. The entire chat would be then shared in this manner for my reference. And this is something which is very interesting. So as we transition into other features in our upcoming days, so tomorrow, for example, we are going to combine the strength of thinking and thinking mini models, and we're going to see what happens if we have all the chats in the same place. That's essentially what the projects tab is designed to do. As we can see, I've already created this project right here, which is called as homework. I'm going to modify this a little bit, rename it probably, and tweak it a little bit more, and we'll add all the necessary files here for reference, and we'll see what happens when. So up until now, the context was given by the user in the form of a threefold input: accessibility to the web, accessibility in terms of various different thinking models that we have, plus any additional source material like the one that I gave here. But of course, it was also then able to go back and access the chats that were there in my previous conversations. But they're all mixed here. With projects, what happens is that we are able to contextualize them in a much better manner. We are able to organize them better. It's essentially a workspace which allows us to have a greater degree of control over what kind of inputs we want to take from various different chats by branching them together to get the maximum output in terms of any prompt or any task that we give to the model. That's one thing we're going to be looking at. We're going to be exploring this in detail tomorrow. For the rest of the FTP, we are going to be using this document as our reference. With my PPT from day one, I'll share this also with all of you. It has some sample prompts. Of course, these are by no means these are perfect. These are just samples. We have to modify and tweak them as per our requirement. But it does give us an idea of what exactly all the various categories are designed to do. And then from there on, we'll move towards material and resource creation also. We're going to try that with this particular chat instance, and then we'll look at that slightly more in detail tomorrow with the projects tab and with Canvas as well. So let's turn off the search option. Let's try to create something out of it based on the lesson plan above. Design the following for me. Number one, short handouts in the form of feeding material, which includes the following topics: brief history of Indian literature, brief idea of IKS, major theories of empathy. That's the first document we want to be created. Number two, a case study based worksheet with open-ended and descriptive questions based on the above stories. A picture description activity worksheet based on the above. And lastly, number 4, let's try to maximize the output pattern. A detailed set of 50 descriptive questions in the form of a question bank with indicative answers in bullet points. Let's see what it does. We're going to be focusing more on this. We have a separate section on, I'm going to skip this right now. We'll come to thinking mini later. We have a separate section coming up on resource and material designing, but let's just see what it does with the current information that it has. So I think it is going to prepare all of them one by one. It is showing me what all it will generate. It is asking your input in terms of the following parts. Do I want all 4 items in a single word file or separate files? Do you want the picture descriptions or actual illustration? Should the question bank remain short, descriptive, or essay type? Let's answer all 3 questions. Give one single document in a Word file. Number 2, yes, generate actual illustrations. Use your image creation tool for this, for colorful images. Generate 2 such images. Number 3, keep the question bank essay type. Now it should generate one single document directly, and we should be getting an output according to that. Let's see what it does. Ideally, it should directly go into writing a code. Okay, it is generating the images first. Fair enough. After that, I think it should transition to writing the code itself. Let me close these extra tabs. This will take a few seconds because it is, I've asked it to utilize its image generation tool. So it is switching over to this part right here. We're going to look at this separately, but this is the tool that it is utilizing. Let's see what it creates. It will take some seconds to generate because my screen is being shared, plus it's a pretty long chat instance that I have. So it is going to have that load on its server. So let me just close the extra tab so that hopefully we get a larger, quicker result. And once this generates, then what should happen after that, if everything goes well, it should automatically transition. 2 possibilities are there. It should automatically transition to generating the document directly, or else it might ask for my input whether it should proceed with document creation or not. So I think it is taking a moment. It says may take a moment. So let's just give it that time. And then after that, we can come to the questions for our reference. Okay, I think it has misunderstood the prompt. It is creating an image out of what I've asked it to do. This can happen sometimes. Okay, it is giving me an image file for the history itself. Let me stop this output. Let's reshare this instructions. Let me remove this for now. Let's see if it does these 2 first or not. Then I'll come back to the illustrations in a minute. Yeah. So it has started to generate a document. It should work well now. And hopefully the image is also there inside it. If not, I can generate the image separately and copy paste it in the image file from here. So it is supposed to do two things. It should give me a history of what I've asked for, the two or three descriptive pieces of information that I've asked for, short handout, a case study. This part I think might not come. We can do it separately, and this question bank section right here. So hopefully it generates the same. I think it is ready. Okay, there's some PNG being generated. I don't know what it will generate, so we'll have to wait and see from there. But as far as the other, as we read through the code, we start to understand that other things are working pretty well. It is giving us that history that we're asking for, plus some questions. As we can see this, we can see some keywords here in terms of descriptive question bank and etc. So we know that it is going in the correct direction, or at least we will get some initial output, which we can then tweak further according to our requirement. So this happens in case it runs into an error, it will regenerate the code as many times as it can, either until the token limit runs out or it auto fixes the error that it has found in its previous code. So it was not able to save the code, I think, in this instance, if I understand it correctly. And hopefully now it should come. If it doesn't come, we'll move to the question and discussion phase for today, and then we'll come back to this later. Anyways, we are going to be looking at material creation separately, but I had hoped that it works and we get all the outputs in the same chat instance only. Yeah, but we can see the load that it is having. It's pretty slow in terms of writing the code, which it usually writes pretty quickly. So, okay, I think it has been able to generate it, hopefully. Okay, thankfully it has generated something. Let's see what it is. There's some content coming out. It says file not found. It has run into some error, I think. It is not able to access the external service that it utilizes typically for. Okay, let's see what this is. It has generated something. Oh, there we go. It's a pretty long document, I think. 14 pages, a brief history, very brief, in fact, some questions, and the answers that follow that, which are, I think, 15 total. Some formatting errors are definitely there, plus the images have not come. I thought that will happen because they ran into some error with that part, but it can be done separately. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show for today. We have some time on our hands. We'll come to the questions now. Let me stop sharing my screen. And in the meantime, we can have some questions. Thank you so much for listening to me. Hopefully this was useful.